So yesterday, you guys saw JMO's MVP prediction and him breaking it down as he's going to be on the couch today. But we're adding myself, Nicholas, and Tony into the conversation about MVPs. On the board right now, as you guys are seeing on the screen and as we are looking at it, we have the top guys for MVP as of so far. It is color-coded as guys that have a lesser chance since opening odds to win MVP are in red. Guys that have improved their chances are in green. And then white is just the same odds as it was opening. Obviously, you see the win totals, you see the teams, whatnot. We all have a player that we think is a trap pick. A guy that's normally inside this range, outside of one, that's in this range and has been taken to win MVP by multiple people, but they're a trap. And we think it's going to be a trap for whatever reason. Then we also took our winners as well. Just looking at the board, does anything stand out to you guys right away?
The fact that Bo Nix isn't on it.
Facts. Bo Nix is not on
Stafford moving 1,500.
Stafford is moving 15.
He was a value at 5,000.
Yeah.
Like that probably tends to happen with a lot of guys who are like 5,000 to 8,000 because like Bo Nix was like that too, where he was plus 7,000 and then he moved up to I think 40 to 1.
I feel like it doesn't take that much action for them to move when they're in that range.
Yeah.
No, I think it just has to take a good amount. But obviously, these are all bet MGM odds as well. I think it's interesting. Herbert's so high, but I feel like he's genuinely looked at as that team is a run-heavy team, which is very interesting. I think that really just name cachet is where that's carrying the weight.
Yeah, I mean,
he's high, but he's in the tier with like the 6 guys underneath him. So it's not like he's like 6th clearly. He's kind of in the next group of dudes.
And I know, JMO, you brought up a point before. CJ Stroud last year was super high up. We're seeing Jaden also super high up. What are your thoughts on that?
I think rookie regression is a thing, and I also think the Commanders have a super tough schedule in the same division as the Eagles. In the video saying like Jaden can have a good year next year, and it still doesn't mean he's going to go out there and win fucking MVP. And there's like expectations because of Debo now that he's there, year 2 Jaden. Like normal progression, it's just there's too much assuming and too much optimism around Jaden. Where like I think he had the breakout year and came onto the scene. I don't think we should just assume he's going to be that much better.
Interesting.
That wasn't his trap pick, you said?
That's not his trap pick.
How did we determine who made this list?
I just took the top guys, and I just cut it off at a certain point. But because I didn't want to make this list.
Did Goff get worse?
I didn't want to make this list gigantic, but we will start getting into.
If
anything, I was
first one.
Throw the one I sent over too. That was basically just all the team.
Yeah.
Any quarterback that was on a team that was projected, I think 8.5 wins or higher.
Yeah. Oh, I can flash.
So you can like grab that chart if we need to look at it.
Both of them are pretty much.
If anything, it was an accurate trap because like his odds just.
Yeah. We'll go over it. This is my first one. I took Jordan Love as my MVP.
Fire.
Shout out Matt, who's sitting on the side here. And the trap is going to be Patrick Mahomes. Let me pull up. I have a sheet for this.
And before the show, I don't know how much we caught on footage for like the vlog or anything, but I think we all agreed Jordan Love has the best coach.
We did. Yeah. Big agreement.
When you were doing your research, how many MVPs haven't made the playoffs?
None.
Okay.
No, I'm in the boat that I think this year the Packers are the best team in that division. Really? Losing, obviously, with Ragno now being out for the Lions, that drastically tanks their offensive ratings and their grades, as you've seen when he's out compared to when he's in. Vikings have a rookie quarterback. Bears are in their first year of a head coach. There's a lot of things going against a lot of teams in this division. I think the Packers have the most put-together team and veteran team, I guess you could say. Adding now a first-round rookie as well at wide receiver is something that the Packers have not done in a very long time. And look back just 2 years ago, we were looking at Jordan Love having an outstanding season at 4,159 yards, 32 touchdowns, 11 picks, and had one of the top QB ratings in the entire league. And over the second half of the season, 16-to-1 touchdown interception ratio is fantastic. Obviously, he's not going to hold that, but he played amazing. And last year, he only played 15 games, but he also missed 2 games. He also left 2 games early, so realistically, like 13 games. And he still threw for 3,389 yards as well as 25 touchdowns. To win MVP, I projected he's going to need to hit around 4,500 passing yards, 40 touchdowns, around 10 interceptions, and be a top 3 rating QB. Well, he's been close to all those numbers in his very first year. And now you give him a first-round wide receiver, a more experienced defense in their second year with their DC. The Packers could easily, I think, win this NFC North with how it's looking now.
Easily.
Yeah, that feels like a crazy statement.
You
think
said
it's that
something
crazy.
earlier, and I was going to bring it up, but maybe we move past this. I think you said the Packers you thought were the best all-around team in that division.
I think they're the best veteran team. They have the most experience on their team.
I think it's Detroit by a mile.
I also would put the Vikings ahead of them, and I think the Bears have more upside than them, and
I don't
they're
think
probably
there's a
not.
I don't think there's a clear. I would still put Detroit far and away above the other teams, but obviously the loss. Of Ragnar's
I wrote that down. Is they lost their OC, their DC, and they lost Rag, which goes from their top 5 offensive graded team to when he's out 23rd.
Yeah, I mean these teams are just gonna eat each other apart.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a clear Packers easily the best team in there. If you told me any of these teams finished 1 through 4, I don't think I'd be surprised if Detroit was 3 or 4. But other than that,
and to look back, last year Packers kept it a very close game with the Eagles, despite obviously them losing that game. They made it to the playoffs with a wide receiver, only one wide receiver on their entire roster that played throughout the entire season, and Jordan Love, who was clearly banged up. So I think there's a lot of upside to where he can hit these numbers, have a fantastic season, and if they finish 1 in their division, I think he can easily take it if those things happen. So I like especially the value getting him to 2,500. I feel is great.
yeah.
So I like him for that reason. And I don't like Patrick Mahomes for a lot of reasons. I think their O-line is just going to be too bad for him to have another huge year. And getting plus 650 is not enough value to be taking anyone this high with an O-line that consists of 2 bad guards. Juwan Taylor, who was horrific at the end of last year, and I don't see much upside in him. Obviously, they get Josh Simmons, great ad in the draft, but Josh Simmons is also going to be a rookie coming in, and he was dealing with injuries at Ohio State. Is he going to come in and be fully healthy? We don't really know. They still have no real elite running backs. I mean, we're still going on the Isaiah Pacheco train. And Rashi's coming off his knee explosion. We don't really know how he's going to do with another older year of Travis Kelce. I think there's a lot of things working against Patrick Mahomes compared to working for him. So that's why I'm leaning the fade of plus 650 odds on him.
I mean, you guys might disagree, but I feel like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they're going to win so many games that his price is never going to go longer than 650. As the Chiefs continue to be the 1 seed and stay the 1 seed throughout, it's only going to go from 650 to 550 to 450. Yeah. And he may not win it,
I'm not
but
touching that value.
It's
sure, but I don't think it's at the end of the year, he's going to be a top 3 candidate. And again, he may not win it, but you're picking a dude that at least at the end of the year is going to be in the race. And I'm not saying it's good value, but to be it's square as fuck for sure. But I also kind of think that
Mahomes is the guy. It's if Josh Allen and Lamar have bad years, it's probably going to Mahomes. Mahomes doesn't even need to win it. It's almost the top candidate.
If he's a year like last year, I don't think he's
probably not.
But the thing is
with Nagy, he hasn't even come close.
Last year, Josh Allen and Lamar won it. But because the Chiefs are probably going to end as the 1 seed or at worst the 2 seed, his name will always be in consideration for MVP.
That's what I'm saying. If those two don't win it, then he's kind of the next guy in line for it.
But that's why also I'm thinking this is a trap play. That's kind of my definition of he's going to be a top guy that a lot of people bet on, and I think you're wasting your money betting on a guy that's 650 when he hasn't had a good season with Nagy and he doesn't have the tools to have an elite offense this year. I don't think their offense is going to score a ton of points. They just don't have the weapons.
Yeah, I don't think they're a lock to be 14-3 like they usually are.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a tall ask for sure. But at this point, he's behind Lamar and Josh Allen. I don't know. I find it hard to believe that at the end of the year, we're in week 17, his odds are going to be longer than 650. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just not touching him 650 or not.
There's just not a lot of room for where the team is going to finish on the spectrum, basically. And that's kind of the same with Lamar and Josh, and I think that's why their odds are all the way up there. Where it's that's why Burrow and Daniels seem a little bit scary to me because you don't really know how those teams are going to end up faring at the end of the year. They could miss the playoffs entirely.
I guess it's more not that I would bet on Lamar, Josh Allen, or Mahomes. I wouldn't bet on any of them. But if I were to pick one of those 3, I would probably just pick Mahomes because he's the longest and because I actually feel best that the Chiefs will probably be a 1 or 2 seed by the end of the year.
How big of a jump is it to go from 850 to 2,000? The fact that there's nothing in the thousands in between,
it's
is that
huge.
pretty?
It's a huge gap.
Yeah, I mean that's why it's the tier. You have the guys they expect to win it, and then the rest of them are just kind of randomly thrown in there at the end. I
think I can do the math and give you an actual percentage number if you want it.
But the books don't always know.
They don't.
That's for sure. Travis Hunter was plus 8,000 to win Heisman last year.
Jesus Christ.
We hit that one.
I like the Jordan Love pick.
We did not.
We did not hit that
My
one.
only problem with Love, and I've talked about this, is he just reminds me a lot of Herbert still, where it's he's very exciting as a raw player, but we need to see more consistency. Like, it's been multiple seasons now where I feel like you get one half of like, holy fuck, love is here, and then a half of football where it's like, what's happening with this team right now?
No, I
if he
can
puts
agree
it
with
together,
you.
yeah, he could have that year for sure. I just don't know.
I think he's way messier than Herbert.
All right, we can move on to our next. Josh Allen at plus 600 and Jaden Daniels
Allen,
at plus
this is ugly.
800.
This is me, yeah.
Nicholas, this is your.
I mean, you said who I think is going to win the
Yeah.
MVP, so I went Josh Allen, and a lot of it has to go back to what we've talked about. This award goes to a 1 or a 2 seed, and I dove pretty deep into the schedule here. They have a top 5 overall schedule. They have the easiest road schedule in the NFL, so they have like 4 tough games: Baltimore, KC, Cincinnati, Philly, all at home. So they have 0 like really tough road games. They have 0 3-game road trips. They have 0 weeks of short prep, and they cross 1 single time zone all year. So the way that Buffalo is set up to just like win games and their tough games are at home when other teams are traveling to them, I just like don't see a world where they finish with fewer than like 12 wins this year, lock up the 1 seed. I think they're the heavy favorite to probably have the bye and be the 1 seed there. And I think like Josh Allen's just going to do what Josh Allen does every year. So as long as someone doesn't put together some sort of like Mona Lisa type fucking season, it feels like to me it's Josh Allen's award, honestly, to lose again. I know it's hard to repeat, but like the guys who have won it were the Josh Allens of their era. And I think like Josh Allen's kind of in the midst of doing what he's doing.
I was going to say, you don't seem very worried about like the back-to-back narrative, because I do feel like in the NFL, they try to disperse it around more than like other leagues maybe.
I think there's going to be fatigue. Not even that he won last year, just the fact I don't think a lot of people think he deserved it last year.
I think it felt like I think it felt underwhelming because at least in my opinion, it felt like Lamar should have won, but again, like his team kind of just didn't win enough games.
Yeah.
But
I think,
and also I think Burrow too had an amazing year, but not that he was in any real contention, but I think there were just other quarterbacks that had as good of a year as Josh Allen. So
like, how was the vote actually close? I don't look at the
remember.
actual splits.
I don't know.
no.
I don't remember.
I just think Buffalo can end up going 15-2 this year. And if like that happens, Josh Allen, he's not going to have a statistical fall off, I don't think, like Mahomes has had, where like Mahomes can be 15-2 like we saw or whatever he was last year and not put up a dominant enough performance to win MVP, where it's like if Buffalo gets there, it's through Josh Allen. You know, so I just think he's set up.
Big coach of the year candidate.
That type of combo,
Jamo's favorite guy.
You just don't find anywhere else.
No, exactly. Now talk me through your trap. We already talked a little bit about Jaden, but
yeah, I just think with Jaden, like last year, they had that 4th seed schedule. So it's like he comes in, kind of surprises everybody and far surpasses expectations. But again, you got to be one of the top teams in your conference. And second year, like I don't really buy he's going to have a sophomore slump, because for every like, CJ Stroud's bad, it's like, sure, there's a million quarterbacks who are still good in year 2 that didn't fall off. But I do think there is something to that avail when you have really unique players like Jaden Daniels, where like having that film does matter. Like now you have that whole offseason to prepare for like, he's really unique. How do we invent new ways to stop him? Cliff Kingsbury, awesome last year, but I still am skeptical about what that offense.
I was going to ask, are people just like back on him now?
They're back on him. But we saw that in Arizona too.
Yeah,
they were like
same
cool.
thing with Kyler.
Kyler rookie year was like great with Cliff, and then all of a sudden like teams kind of figured out that line of scrimmage short action, and they're trying to figure that out with like Debo. I think we're all kind of in agreement that Debo's probably just not going to be a great payoff for Washington and what they gave to him. But like, yeah, I think Jaden will have a great year by all standards, but I don't expect him to get to like the Josh Allen tier in terms of where they're bringing their team and just the overall stability. So like,
I think they can miss the playoffs.
It wouldn't be crazy to me. Yeah,
I actually think there's a much better chance the Packers do than the Commanders. I feel like the Commanders are kind of pretty playoff.
I think
locked.
their division is actually way weaker on paper. Like I think the Cowboys.
Commanders.
Yeah.
Like I think I think the Giants and Cowboys are probably going to be dog shit.
The Cowboys are what,
this year.
7.5 their win total? Yeah, like Vegas is not expecting the Cowboys to be that good. I think in our minds we're like, the Cowboys are a good team, whatever. But I do think they have a much easier. Like that NFC North is just like, it's a fucking bloodbath. Like the worst team, obviously Chicago, but like they're so improved on the offensive side of the ball that they could just be really good too.
Yeah, like if I were power rating the NFC teams, I think Washington would probably be like 3, 4, 5 range.
Yeah.
But a lot of the teams above them are in the same division, to where I just think their path is also easier.
It's gonna be tough when Washington goes out of the playoffs because the Panthers and Falcons just sneak right in. That's gonna be
That's the other
huge.
thing we didn't even mention.
That's huge.
Even
Like, where's the
mention
Bryce
how
Young
strong the
odds? If I'm gonna be, okay.
Yeah, so Jaden, he's just the guy that's going to get a lot of hype, obviously, coming into year 2. And I think there's enough kind of working against him, or I'm red flaggish on.
We added 3 for JMO
Fire.
because we got, JMO, talk through your third guy when you do, but your first 2 guys we know MVP Trap, and then you can talk through Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, so Stroud I went with because I think he just has the roster to get the wins. Kind of what Nick was saying for Josh Allen and the Bills. I think the Texans' year is now. Last year, like, they had a shit ton of things go wrong between the O-line. Nico missed a month. Tank Dell broke his knee in half. Joe Mixon missed some time. But then they still put it together. And then, like, entering the playoffs, they were like a whole different team. And I think that could carry over into this year of, like, that was the real Texans when they're healthy and shit doesn't go wrong. And
Dominant playoff performance.
yeah, they actually had. Their defense was so good in the second. Like, Derek Stingley found himself, Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, 2 sack guys. Like, the reason I like Stroud so much is because I like the Texans so much, and I like them to have that top-tier record. And then Goff, looks stupid having him as a trap. But last year, there were graphics of, like, you're the top MVP candidates on, like, a primetime game. It's like Lamar.
He's like the sharp pick where you're like, the team's going to be so good, but he won't have the statistical ceiling to match it now.
No,
Well, I think it's similar.
I kind of disagree. It's like the only reason he's in the conversation is because he does have the statistical season. He had like 37 touchdowns and 8 picks, and that's why he's in the conversation. It's like those are all manufactured numbers. We all know Jared Goff's not the most valuable player in the NFL.
I kind of feel like it goes back to what I was saying with Mahomes, where it's like that he's always in that conversation because midway through the year, the Lions have been like a 1 or 2 seed to where like he's always going to kind of be thrown in there. But then like Jared Goff will do, Jared Goff things to like not win
It's not even that. It's like just they're not going to vote for Jared Goff. Like he's not. He just can't.
You try to make this same argument about Brock Purdy.
But I was right. Like, they don't vote for someone unless you're a top fucking G, and he's not. And neither was Brock, and he never will be.
No. But the thing is, if the Niners had beat the Ravens and finished as, like, if they finished above the Ravens, I think they would have voted for him. Like, he lost it for sure. And I think realistically, if the Lions finished as the 1 seed in the NFC, like, I don't think there's reason to vote against him. They're gonna, I guess I'm not sure what you're saying. They don't want to vote for Jared Goff because it's Jared Goff.
They're going to, like, put it on something else, like, oh, he has the receivers. Oh, Jahmyr Gibbs got him here. Like, it's
David Montgomery's back.
Yeah,
I could see that, but don't you kind of see that same narrative with like C.J. Stroud?
I don't think Joe Mixon's.
But like it'll be like, oh, the defense. He has Nico Collins.
I think the name caches are nearly as big for CJ as they are Jared Goff.
I think their weapons groups are super similar, but I do think people look at Stroud differently than Goff.
Yeah.
Like if Stroud goes out and has a
Like
crazy
going-
year, people are like,
going
Stroud's the
into
future of the
Stroud's
NFL.
sophomore
They'll never say
year-
that with
Yeah.
Goff.
Going into Stroud sophomore year, like, this is the new guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
They want him to get back to that.
Yeah.
And talk
That's
us
fair.
through Matt Stafford.
I think this is possibly the best weapons room Stafford has had in LA. Like, Devontae and Puka might arguably be better than Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also has Kyron Williams versus when he had, like, I don't know who it was then, Marcus Brown or Hankam Makers coming off an Achilles injury.
Sonny
And
Michel.
I don't know if this matters at all because Sean McVay is the play caller, but like I said, in whatever other content we made, this is the first year Stafford's been there where it's been the same OC. Now he doesn't have to deal with an OC change. Is that worth anything? Maybe not, but I think this is also the weakest the NFC West might have been in the past since Stafford's got there, and I just think giving him his best weapons, giving him some consistency. If Stafford went out and threw 40 touchdowns and the Rams had a 13-4 record, I would not be shocked. This is the best situation he's been in.
What is it about Stafford that you think would get voters to vote for him over Goff? If like they were both, if like Goff's 1 seed, you're saying voters would not vote for him. But if Rams are 1 seed, there's something about Stafford that would yield him votes.
I mean, Goff's never thrown 40 touchdowns. Stafford has.
I think it's the
And I
fact
do
that
think
Goff
that's
will
a
have
benchmark.
a way better rushing game than I think Matt Stafford will have. And they're going to look at the splits there. Like, every time we look at the Rams and we think of the Rams, like, oh, it's because their passing game is so elite with Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Jared Goff, you never look at the Lions team of, like, oh, their passing game is so elite. You're like, they are a run-first team.
I agree. I agree with the narrative you're saying, but I think in order for Stafford and Goff to be like top considerations for MVP, both things have to be true for them, where it's like their defenses were playing well, their run game was good. Like I don't think either one of these guys are going to throw their way to an MVP.
I think Jared Goff is just too unexciting. Like that's what it really comes down to.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that at all. But like I kind of also think Matthew Stafford might be in that category too.
I don't know. I don't know if people are ready to put him there, to be honest.
I think people like the idea like Stafford's the last OG gunslinger in the league. If he could go out on top, like win MVP, retire this year, like that would be a narrative. Like Stafford wins MVP, he's going to go out.
I want to go back to Stroud for a second because they got rid of Bobby Slowick, so they got a new OC. But are you not concerned about their offensive line? It was hurt, but it was also terrible.
That was super.
Yeah, no, it's not great.
They got rid of Laramie Tunsil, which like on paper bad. I actually think it was a good direction for them because there were so many reports that he was just like a problem behind the scenes, like really lazy, not a leader. And I'm like, you don't want someone in there kind of leading your group like that. But I think it could take a year or two to turn things around there on the O-line.
It's just that the offensive line, it's not like it was great his rookie year either, and he managed to make it work.
Yep.
He has not had a good O-line throughout his career, his 2 years. But like, I think, like upside is rookie year where it was good. I think downside is like last year where the offense just looked disastrous because of the dog shit O-line.
All right, now to the most exciting one we've had. The best one we might have is Tony's. Tony, talk us through why you got Jalen Hurts at MVP.
Yo, this is a great value.
Thank you.
But,
Thank you.
No, this is not insane. I actually would have picked him if you were saying like best value on the board.
Yeah, I wasn't really. I was just saying the MVP. Like who?
So
you taking with
I always just
head?
go best value because I don't think like even if I was just trying to pick for my life, I don't think I could do that. So I might as well just go with value. I think at the end of the year, Eagles still a dominant team, even though they got lost a lot of pieces on defense, which might hurt, but also might help Jalen Hurts because that might make the Eagles have to score more, and people might have that narrative in their head where it's like, oh well, like the defense isn't as good, but like they're still up there. That's on Jalen Hurts, whatever. But I think at the end of the year, it's going to be down between like the MVP conversation is going to be between Hurts and Mahomes, Hurts and Allen, or Hurts and Lamar. And so I'm just taking the guy who has the most chances of getting in the conversation because I think the Eagles in the NFC are in a tier by themselves. And I just don't see any way where they're not the 1 seed. It would have to be a disaster for them to fall out of the 2 seed. I think they fall out of the 2 seed if Hurts ends up getting hurt. Like they're just down at like 20 because they don't have a quarterback at that point. So I think it's just kind of crazy that Jalen Hurts is 2-1. And I also think the NFL has no problem giving. Like I think Hurts is one of those guys they try to bump up. I don't know. I don't think Hurts is like actually that good. I know I've been on record being like a bunch of different quarterbacks could have won that Super Bowl. But Hurts continues to like prove me wrong every single time, right? I was like, they're not going to win a Super Bowl with him. He does that. Super Bowl MVP. Like I just think this is the next progression where the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs, they might have a better record, but all those teams are going to kind of feast into each other, and then people are just going to be like, the Eagles are 14-3 again. Why not Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, him being at 20-1 is insane.
I think it's way too far.
He should be like the tier between those two groups of people, but I think he should be up where Jaden Daniels is.
Who's their no OC?
What you said?
Their new OC. I don't know.
Couldn't even tell you. They got Nick Sirianni.
Ready to coach.
Certified. Yeah, I mean, like, the Eagles are going to be there at the end of the year. So Hurts should be up in this range. I agree with that.
Do you not think Saquon, like, destroys his case?
No, because I think you always put the quarterback as in the 1 and 2 seat. Like, he's always in the conversation. Maybe, like, ultimately it does.
I mean, it happened to Purdy.
No, I don't think like McCaffrey was the reason that Purdy lost.
He finished ahead of him in MVP voting.
Yeah, but I think that one singular Ravens game just derailed everything. Where it was like it was between Purdy and Lamar, and then Lamar just like beats the crap out of him in prime time. To where I think that just plummeted Purdy's stock, regardless of the situation leading up to it. You know what I mean? Like if they just won that game, even if Purdy didn't look good and McCaffrey had an amazing game against the Ravens,
it would have been Purdy.
It would have been Purdy.
Yeah.
I don't think that's comparable to like what the Eagles are going to be doing going forward. Like they're going to finish as the 1 seed, and it's going to be between Hurts and an AFC quarterback.
I'm curious. I'm really curious to see because I've been doing, like, you've edited probably some of my recent videos with it. Like I was looking into the Eagles passing rate, and if you own AJB or DeMonte or whoever last year in fantasy, like their passing volume plummeted. And one of the stats I found was they were the lowest passing rate team in the NFL since the 2009 Jets. So it's been 16 years since the team passed at a lower ratio than the Eagles did last year. And I'm curious to see if it's a tougher schedule this time around. They do lose a lot of defensive pieces. So I'm curious. I wonder if they do pass the ball a lot more. Like they don't lean on Saquon, for those third and fourth quarters where they're up by a lot of points, and that leads to more. I don't know if that's better for them or better for Jalen Hurts, to be honest with you, but like I could see a world where his stats go up a little bit again.
In some ways, I'm kind of thinking it might be a positive because even though they lost pieces, I still think they're the number one team. But now people just have that like last year, there was excuses of, well, this is such a legendary defense. This is such a legendary like everything about this team, to where maybe they take a step back. They're still the 1 seed, but now it's not like Jalen Hurts is like so obviously carried about by his defense. Even if he is, it's just not like jumping off the page like it was last year.
If he gets MVP and the ring,
yeah, no, he is the instrument. He is the instrument of my demise. Like he is my worst nightmare.
Now talk us through Joe Burrow though.
Can we just talk about Joe Burrow's picture?
It's way better. It's way better.
Is that just the TV?
Yeah,
okay. Him compared to what Stafford and Goff look like up there?
Yeah, no. On the TV, it's bad.
It looks ill.
So they have Burrow right behind the big 3 quarterbacks in the AFC. I just don't think there's any chance the Bengals like even win. There's a chance, but I think there's a very, very, very small chance they even win their division, and that automatically is going to eliminate Joe Burrow from MVP conversations. Like, I don't think their defense got any better. I think it's going to lead to the same amount of like games dropped to teams that they probably shouldn't be losing to. I think Joe Burrow can go out and have an amazing year like he did last year, and he's just not going to be talked about in a legitimate capacity, right? Like, there'll be people on the internet being like, Joe Burrow has more yards, completion percentage, touchdowns than whoever you're talking about. Like, he's so much better. And he probably will be, but like, that's not what this award is. Like, I think wins is the most important stat a QB can have when winning the MVP.
I'd be so curious to see what did Joe Burrow open at last year? Do you remember?
Last year? Yeah. I have to look at it.
I have a screenshot of it.
Yeah.
You think it's longer than what it is now?
Probably longer. I think
so
know.
too.
I'd assume coming off of last year.
He's
1,000.
1,000?
Yeah, he's more of a favorite this year.
I'd be curious to see like how it went week by week because like the Bengals lost. What they start 0-3 last year?
They lost, yeah.
Because I'm curious
worse.
to see how big swings happen when a team like the Bengals, they lose week 1. Feels like it would be a significant knock to Joe Burrow's MVP numbers, right? Because again, it goes back to like you got to be a good team, you got to make the playoffs, you got to be a high seed. If the Bengals start off this year like they did last year, I could see his odds moving really quickly. But like if Buffalo or Philly loses week 1, I don't think like Vegas is gonna be like, oh, they might not make the playoffs now,
right?
Like
historically,
how it moved last year.
Yeah, and I feel like historically the Joe Burrow Bengals with Zach Taylor have historically like started slow.
Always, yeah.
So it's like if you're gonna bet on Joe Burrow, you might as well wait for the first month gone when they're like 2-2. They lost to the dog shit fucking
Zach Taylor's
Browns.
Gotta go.
And it's like
might.
now he's 17-1 or some shit. I don't know,
100%.
but Joe Burrow to me stands out as the grossest pick. Like I don't like the Bengals this year. I don't even know if they're going to make playoffs. I don't know what they did differently on their defense. It just feels like they're going to rinse and repeat the same thing from last year.
Did they ever sign that rookie that was like
Shamar Stewart?
The first rounder?
I don't know. Did they lock him up? Do you remember? Do you know?
They had to.
I don't know anything.
I don't
We've been waiting this whole episode for your one moment. You don't even know.
I don't think.
You don't even know where you are. Is he signed or not?
I'm looking at him.
Shamar Stewart. David Bell is not even signed in the season. Couldn't even draft him in the last fantasy draft.
None of us have Lamar.
He's not signed yet.
Not signed. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
And he's not participating in OTAs.
It's fire. So both their edges are cooked.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals have had a terrible
Odds-on favorite.
terrible defensive picks in their draft, and it feels like it's probably going to continue.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. That's enough. Outside of looking at everything, that's what we have for MVPs. Let us know in the comments down below which MVPs
Put the big
you
board
guys are
back up.
taking.
Let's talk some fucking value.
Baker's ass.
Yeah, I don't love that.
Where is
Especially
he?
when they're going to finish second or third in the
Yeah,
division.
no, it's
Yeah.
bad. Bars.
Purdy's ass.
T-Law,
Yeah.
first year, new coach.
Yo,
Okay.
stop.
I mean,
Strong over under though for them.
Like, I think
Say it with your chest.
I just like him.
Say
I'm bullish to see him with Liam Cohen. Like if
Really?
if Cohen could get 40 out of Baker,
Liam's gonna be a train wreck.
Okay, what about this?
yes.
Dak Prescott, no running game. Added now George Pickens.
Dude, I think that team is going to be
I'm
like they're
out.
7.5 wins. I think they probably
Is
finish
their
with
defense
7.
like loaded?
They are
Sounds like
not
they're-
good.
It felt like they were elite when Micah came into the league, and then all
And
of a
now
sudden
they're
they just
falling
imploded.
apart.
Where did
Yeah.
Trevon Diggs sucks now.
Ron Diggs?
Yeah.
Where did the other DN go? Didn't he just go somewhere?
He went somewhere, but he's not on the team.
Lawrence?
Yeah, DeMarcus Lawrence.
He left?
Didn't he go somewhere?
I'm gonna
I'm
look it
tripping.
I could see him in a Ravens uni.
up. Yeah, I can see him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ripping off like 11 and a half sackers.
Or
DeMarcus
1.5.
Lawrence, Seattle Seahawks.
Big
Shout out
Seattle
Seattle. Shout
Yeah, so I
out
guess
Seattle.
Dallas D is kind of cheeky.
No. Dude, Dallas is going to finish 3rd in their division at best. So Dak is
Unless
not considered an MVP.
Dak carries the team. Throwback to 2023.
Yeah, I'll still say
No.
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix.
Would it be crazy for Denver to win their division this year? No, right?
Yeah.
Really?
Against the Chiefs.
I don't think Nick
or
has
Chargers.
the weapons to actually get him those numbers, though.
Yeah.
That's what concerns me. That's why I also don't like Herbert, which I didn't say in my video, but like I love Lab. I don't know if he's enough to get Herbert 40
Like Trey
touchdowns again.
Harris.
Yeah.
I have no
Dog.
idea who that is.
Yeah, the problem with I feel like the NFL now is you really need to have a strong statistical season to get in there.
All right.
You got to do that 2012 Drew Brees type shit.
Facts. We have to. Okay, we have to allow the camp and stuff. We talked about a lot of the MVPs today. Let us know in the comments which MVPs you guys are taking, which one you guys are fading, and who you think had the best traps and MVP selections. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.